Hi guys, it's Cyndi, aka Disney Queen. Today we are going to talk about budgeting for a Disney trip. I say it all the time. I'm all about the budget. Usually when we go to Disney, we don't have a super big budget in which to work with. And I've found over the years of going, I've been going since 1998 to Disney. We don't get to go every year or twice a year. On average, we probably go every 4 to 5 years to Disney. There were there was an occasion where we were able to go more than one time within a year, and that was because we were able to get a really good price on we became pass holders. I had to think about that for a minute. There was a time where after one of our initial trips where we were able to get pass holder tickets. The way we were able to do that was because after getting our initial tickets, we decided to upgrade and pay a little extra more to get tickets so that we could come back within that year. At the time, I want to say that tickets were like maybe $350 $450, and then we paid an additional $50 to $100 to upgrade. Of course, it has changed a lot since then, and those days are gone. So I thought I would kind of give you an idea of how we go about preparing to budget for a Disney trip. In future videos, I will go into a little bit more detail about each individual section, like what do we do when we go to a hotel, or how do we do dining, or how do we do tickets. But today I just kind of wanted to really just kind of deal with our plan for when we decide to go on a Disney trip. So first of all, that is one of the first things that we do. We decide when to go. When my children were younger, we usually went around May, June, or July, sometimes August. Because we lived in Virginia, our school, our times at school is open is a little different than I know it is down south. So our kids actually go to school until mid-June, and then they don't go back to school until September. So that gave us a little bit of leeway. And a lot of times we would end up going in August, a few weeks before the end of August, because a lot of children had already gone back to school from down south, so we didn't have as many crowds. The problem was it was hot as blazes, and so when our kids started to get a little older, and even as they became adults, our thought process was, okay, we need to change the time of year that we go. And as much as we have said that that is what we want to do, it has not happened, because a lot of times we've had family who would be down there during the summertime, and we would want to join them. As a matter of fact, one of my goddaughters, her family would go down every year, and there were a couple of years where we went down to join them to be there at the same time that they were. So yeah, as much as we wanted to, the time never changed. That actually played a part in also what the cost would be. So I would say the very first thing when you're trying to budget for a Disney trip is look at the time of year that you can go, and then look at what the cost is for like hotels, and if you're renting a car, or you want to know how much that's going to cost you. If you're taking a plane, there are certain times of the year where that plane cost may be a little less. There's value seasons, and then there's seasons during the year where the price is going to be higher because there's going to be more of a demand. So that would be the very first thing that I suggest, especially if your children are young enough where they're not in school. Then you can kind of determine also when you would like to go to Disney. It does not have to be at the peak times of the year. Okay, so after we decide when we're going to go to Disney, then we decide where we're going to stay. So for the most part, we've pretty much stayed on property. There were a couple occasions where we stayed off property, but over time, the value of staying on property for us had more to do with what Disney was offering to those who stayed on property. Now, in the last couple of years, even that has changed. And as my family has grown and my children have become adults, my children are in their 30s, the need to stay on property for us is not quite the same that it used to be. And as a matter of fact, I did a video last year about why I had decided that possibly staying off versus on property would be of a better value to my family. So I will leave a link below to that video so that you can check it out. So we have always stayed at the value resorts because, again, I'm all about the bargain. And I know that for some people, the value resorts just don't give them the amenities that they're looking for. In my family's case, we are not swimmers. So the type of pool was never a big deal to us. The majority of the time we were already driving to Florida, and so we had our own car, and so we didn't have to be concerned about waiting for a bus or waiting for the buses at the park at the end of the night when you're dealing with all the crowds. We were actually on our way to our car and already off property, visiting somewhere else, while everyone else was kind of waiting for the buses to show up. So that didn't really affect us. There was one occasion where we were able to get a really good deal on a resort, and it was a deluxe resort. And at the time, I want to say maybe I don't think it was during the time where we had the annual pass. I really don't. But we just got a really good deal. Couldn't turn it down because we were a family of 5. It was important that where we stayed, we didn't have to do like a whole lot of rooms because the value resorts, really, you're only supposed to have 4 people in the room. They don't have like a bed that you can roll in. So when we started staying on property, we actually were getting 2 rooms in order to accommodate our family. And one year I was looking, and surprise, surprise, the cost of 2 rooms versus staying at a deluxe room was actually cheaper for us to go with the deluxe room. And it was the Contemporary Resort, and it was in, I think it was the left wing. And it was a magical trip of a lifetime. Loved it, still remember it to this day. We did it at Christmas time, and it was just magical. But for the most part, when we go, we do stay at the value resorts, and that works for my family. I like the fact that the value resorts have the different themes, that they're Disney, that they're heavily Disney themed. That doesn't bother me because when I'm there, I'm like a kid. I'm not really looking for a sophisticated adult-only trip. And in the future, I could still see myself staying at a value resort. So after we've decided when we're going to go, after we're decided where we're going to stay, the next big thing for me has always been to book with a travel agent. And the reason I say that is because, yes, you could do all of this yourself. You could call Disney, you could get the information, you could book it through Disney, and you could make up all the plans yourself. But for me, the convenience and the fact that it doesn't cost me any extra to use a travel agent, and then she takes some of the pressure off of me to one, plan everything, call in for dining reservations, keep an eye on when a discount might come out on the hotel I'm staying at. The fact that she's willing or he's willing to do that for me and it doesn't cost me anything extra works for me. As a matter of fact, one year we had booked a trip and my travel agent sent me an email that said that she had saved us an additional money on our trip because there was a discount that was going to be in effect during the time that we were going, and that she had already applied that discount to our room and we were set to go. I didn't have to do anything. She did all of the work. The other thing that my family has always done is we would plan at least a year in advance. And the reason why this helps with our budget is because we will book a year in advance and then we will start sending money towards that trip, because the type of plan that we would have, we wouldn't necessarily, because if you do a room, I think it's a room only plan, that might have changed, but I know when we were doing it, if you do a room only plan, then you didn't have to pay the total until you actually turned up at your hotel. I don't like doing that. And if you have a plan with a room and with your tickets and everything, that's not actually possible. You do have to pay a little bit in advance before you get there. I think it's like 90 days out or 30 days out. And so for us, it didn't matter that we could pay when we got there. It was actually easier for us to make some payments every month towards the trip, so that when the time for the trip actually came, we were not like stressing out because we have to make this payment, this huge payment when we get there at the start of our vacation. Now, one of the other things that we always try to do is we always try to put aside cash money for our dining. We have never done the dining plan, but I have my own dining plan. So basically, on average, we would pick 3 of our favorite sit-down restaurants to do while we were on our trip. Of course, one was always Ohana, and then we would choose at least one breakfast and then possibly another breakfast or dinner. And once we did that, we knew basically what our cost would be for that dining, and we would start saving money. And my way of saving money is a good old-fashioned way. I would take the coins that I would have left over from change, and I literally would fill a piggy bank with it. And the other thing is, when my children were teenagers, they saved money to pay their portion of the dining. If they wanted to go see the princesses at the Grand Floridian at the 1900 Park Fair, then they would save money to pay for their part of the dining. So that not only saved mom and dad some money, but it gave them the responsibility of being a part of the planning and a part of getting to go to the restaurants that they were excited about. Like I said, you can, once you decide where you're going to go, once you decide where you're going to stay, book you a travel agent, put a deposit down, and then pay on that trip a year in advance, so that when it's time for you to go on a trip, you don't have to worry about that. When it comes to eating, you do not have to eat at every restaurant. You don't have to do 3 meals a day there. As a matter of fact, I will tell you in another video how we actually go about eating when we're at Disney and how we save money, and I will give you more details on other things that we do to budget for that. And then lastly, include your children in it. This is not just your vacation, it is their vacation too. Let them be a part of it. Teach them what it's like to save for something that you want. And my kids never complained about the fact that they might have to contribute to the dining, or they might have to contribute to a souvenir that they just had to have before they left the parks. And I think it was a lesson learned for them. And when they left with their souvenir, or after they'd had dinner with their character, the favorite character that they like, it gave them a sense of pride that they had contributed in some way. So those are my quick tips for how we go about planning on a budget for a Disney trip. In the next couple of months, I will go into a little bit more details about different aspects of that. So I hope this helps someone. I hope it helps you when you're getting ready to plan your next trip, especially if you're like me and you're on a budget and you don't really have unlimited cash to do what you would like to do. I mean, I don't even think people who have a really big budget necessarily have unlimited cash to do everything that they want to do. So you have to prioritize some things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? And if you'd like to know when the next video will come out, all you have to do is hit that little notification bell below. So until I see you the next time, have a blessed day. Bye.